I can't say that this was how I was hoping to start my Road to Badminton series. Hey, Donut. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the first episode in what I'm hoping is going to be a series. I'm trying to stay optimistic that this is actually going to be a series worth making, of our Road to Badminton Grassroots. So I'm hoping most of you guys know already, that's Donut. Donut and I qualified for Badminton Grassroots last year, and we are hoping... Shout, how many fingers can I cross? Cross my arms. Can you cross your legs? He says no. We're hoping to be going to the B100 Championships in May this year. Now it's coming towards the end of February, and that previous clip with no shoes on is current. So he has shoes on his hind feet. He does not have shoes on his front feet, and I thought I would jump on here and give you guys a little bit of an explanation. I was hoping to start the series with this video, but I had been hoping that this video would be his first lesson, not explaining why there's no shoes on his front feet. So let's roll it all the way back to the beginning, back when I told you guys that we had qualified for Badminton Grassroots. So we qualified at Little Downham Regional Finals in the meter, and he'd been a really good boy, but we hadn't actually qualified on the day because that was top 20% to qualify, so top 6 people, and we came 9th, so that put us into the top 30% bracket. As it was at the end of the season, B extended the criteria, which meant that we were able to go, so top 30% qualified. And I announced that back in October when we'd just completed our first B novice track, and he jumped down clear. So everything felt really well on track, really where it needed to be going, because obviously a 100 championship course is quite technical. So he's finished off the season with a novice, and we're sort of in a great place. I then made the intention to keep him in work most of winter so that he didn't lose muscle, and he's also quite a troublemaker, so when he's out of work he tends to get bored and put his feet where they shouldn't be, take his shoes off, get cuts, and overall try and injure himself, it seems. So I wanted to keep him ticking over, but amongst all that time as well we were moving house and yard, and go look back, you'll see. So with that, I managed to keep him ticking over till about December, and then December he very kindly reared up and put his leg over the electric fencing like that and pulled back, and it was his left front leg, and I could see burns on his hair and residue of electric wire and a cut. So it was a bit swollen, but it was never lame on it. And I just decided to be cautious and get the vet out once the inflammation went down, just to scan his tendons and ligaments, just to check that there was no bad things going on, you know, no blemishes, no holes in the tendons, because obviously much better to be proactive rather than reactive in this situation, and any situation really. You think something might be going on, we've not got x-ray eyes, might as well get it checked out and just be sure, because we're much better off giving him the opportunity just to sort of heal than leaving it and working him until there's a great big hole, because 1, it will hurt him, and 2, it will never come back the same after the injury. So really important to be careful with anything, but particularly your tendons, because they've not got the protection there, and unlike bones, which get stronger when they heal, a lot of the time tendons don't. They tend to become a little bit more brittle, and then you have a higher chance of reoccurrence. A little bit of science there. I like to use a bit of my degree sometimes. Yeah, let's that happened. So he was fine, he'd only had about a week off, he was still fairly fit, and vet said, great, keep working him. So I thought, okay, can keep working him. Carried on working him, and about 2 days later, he came in fine in the evening. I rode him in the evening fine. Next morning, he hopped over to me in the stable. He'd been stood at the other corner and he literally hopped because he was non-weight bearing. This time on his right front leg. So I was a bit confused. I was worried about your left leg, mate. What's wrong with your right leg now? So it was all blown up, very swollen, and he had a hot hoof. So alarm bells started ringing for abscess. Although I say alarm bells, abscess, I was like, oh great, an abscess, nice and easy. Yeah, it's like every horse owner thing, isn't it? Oh, thank God it's an abscess. And I got the farrier out because he wears pads on his feet, so I couldn't have a look to see if there was anything. He had to take the shoe off, have a dig, and he came across like a bruise that was already growing out, and that's all that he could really see that might have anything there. So I started poulticing him and doing the work to try and draw an abscess down, so hot tubbing, poulticing, the works. About 2 weeks later, we'd managed to drain this gooey, horrible abscess, and there was a lot of gunk that I got out of it, and stuff was starting to look back on track. We then had quite a bit of toing and throwing of the shoe went back on. He then went lame. Shoe came off, got a little bit more out of the abscess. It was really frustrating and stubborn, and the poor guy, abscesses hurt. So I carried on tubbing him and poulticing him, and sort of by the end of February we were getting back on track with it, and I thought, there we go, we're sorted. By the end of January, I hope I said January, not February, and we were getting sorted, and I thought, that's it, we're back at it. And it's taken a month from the 20th of December, lovely Christmas present, to the 20-something of January. Okay, that's fine, we can get on track. It's a bit later than planned, but don't worry. And then I've been getting him fit, and I've been hacking him, and he's built up to about 5 miles hacking, where he's quite happy to do it, walk, trot and canter. But in that time, he's since gone lame a couple of times again on that right foot. And it's got to the stage where I just thought, this doesn't seem right, and I'm worried about it. And I'm worried that I'm assuming it's the soft foot, and you know that he's sore because we've softened his foot up with the poulticing. But what if it's something else? What if the abscess, there's still a bit of abscess in there? What if something's got in there when there's been the hole? What if the abscess has negatively affected his pedal bone? And to the extreme, because that's where my mind goes sometimes, what if he's got like a mild fracture of his pedal bone or something? So I thought, I'm not carrying on with a horse that's going intermittently lame once a fortnight. I thought, that's just not right. And I booked him in at the vet's on Friday because he'd been sound and I'd been really happy. And then Friday morning, I was leading Flint, leading Donut and carrying a hay net, and I could see him walk. As I walked him down the drive, he was lame. So took him to the vet's on Friday afternoon. They watched him trot up. By Friday afternoon, having been out in the field for a while, he trotted up sound, typically. And then on the left lunge, he was still sound. And on the right lunge, he was lame. And even his trot up, the stride was slightly shorter, but technically sound. But right lunge, he was lame. So they did a quick flexion test. There was nothing really to see with the flexion test. So they nerve blocked him for me on that right foot. They just sort of blocked the back of the foot and then into the sole. And he came back out and he trotted up. He had a much bigger stride on the trot up, and he was most absolutely definitely sound. And then on the lunge, obviously he was already sound on the left lunge. Right lunge, he was perfectly sound. It was like beautiful. So I thought, okay, so we're correct that it's in the foot, we're right that it's in the foot. So with that, they then wanted to x-ray, which is what I've taken him for. So they whipped his shoes off, which brings us to today. I've got his shoes here, in order to x-ray his feet. And they asked me if I wanted x-rays of both feet. I thought, might as well at this stage just x-ray both feet so that we've got a base level for each foot. And they didn't find anything sinister. Woohoo! Great news. But what they basically found was on his left foot, which is his good foot, he had a good, I don't know, millimetre of sole, like that much of sole, protecting everything and nice and strong. On his right foot, his bad foot, which is also his big foot, he doesn't have a pair of feet. Let's get this. He doesn't have a pair of feet. When I got him, let's just do a side note. When I got him, he had the most horrific feet that anybody's known, and he gave me like heart palpitations every time I got him shod, because about 2 weeks in, his shoes looked like they were ready to fall off. He doesn't have a pair of feet. He has one foot bigger than the other. Can you see that? I think you can see that. This is his right shoe. It's bigger than his left shoe. Not massively, but it is bigger and it's flatter. So big foot has been the foot that's been causing us trouble. And it is ideal to have a pair of feet, and we are working towards it. His feet are vastly improved on when we got him, but sometimes they never end up like a complete pair. And he wears the pads as support as well. So we've built up from pads like these, from no pads to then pads like these, to then he's now got pads like these. And his feet have come much stronger, much more upright, getting some heel on them, and they're really improving. And you can see it, you can see on the x-rays, like James, my farrier, should be so proud, because there's minor imbalances, but you would not see that looking at his feet from externally. We can make differences from looking at the x-rays, but realistically it's really, really minor. It's only because we're looking at the inside now. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm really pleased with the barrier team that I've got in place. And now if we return to the conversation about the x-rays, left foot, great, which is kind of what you'd expect given that he's sound on that foot. Right foot has absolutely no sole on it. So if he had that much on his left foot, he had like fingers touching on the right foot. Like there's next to nothing of protective sole. So whether that has been a long-term thing, especially given that he's got a bigger, flatter foot and a more upright foot, whether that's been a longer-term thing or not, I don't know, because I've not had his feet x-rayed before. But what I also do know is that wet does contribute to thinning and softening of the soles. And not only has he had wet poultices on to draw the abscess down, we've had to soften the sole in order to get that out, but it's also been extremely wet outside. Anybody living in the UK at the moment knows that we are probably considering buying an ark at this stage and don't even know if the event season's going to start anyway, because it just won't stop raining. I say that on a day that is beautifully sunny outside, so fingers crossed that continues, and let's touch some wood too. But it's just not been an ideal situation with the weather. So basically, conclusion is that farrier was right, it's his soft feet, but the problem comes that we need to harden his feet up. So I'm now at a little bit of conundrum. His shoes are off because farrier's here tomorrow to put them back on, so he's spending the weekend with them off. So I'm just keeping him in because he's got his nice spongy mats to make sure his feet don't break up at all and don't end up bruised or anything. But because he's got soft feet, they'll bruise easier, and obviously they're more sensitive, and that probably explains why he's had the stages where he's been fine and then suddenly he goes lame, because he's probably stood on a stone and it's made him sore. Has it made you sore? Oh, good boy. And then the next conundrum, which is going to be a conversation with the farrier tomorrow, is the pads. Let me give you a closer look. Oh, I've just got stuff in my tea. So the pads are, like I said, they've gone on to help strengthen his feet and support his feet and help change the shape. He started off with these ones because his frogs were so prolapsed, so like bulging towards the floor, that we had to, can you see that? James had to sort of file out this bit so that it wasn't squashing his frog too much. And then effectively, I'm not a farrier, so it offers the extra support here, and it's offering the extra support for him to come up in his heels. And it's also a little bit like a heart bar, but obviously not as rigid as a metal heart bar would be. And then he's progressed to these, which offers even more support with being solid all the way through. They have dental impression underneath, which then adds a bit of cushioning, and they're a really useful tool. I've noticed such a massive difference in Donut's feet since having them on, because they were just collapsing. You're climbing out your stable, he says, I'd like to show you my foot. Woo. My gimbal. There we go. There is my foot. It's your poorly foot as well, isn't it? Good boy. Oh, thanks for that. Good boy. So, where was I? So yeah, it's ideal to have this extra protection here, because actually that will help protect from bruising if he stands on a stone. But also with his soles being soft and wanting to harden them up, the pads can create a slightly more moist, warm environment, which obviously won't harden his feet up as easily as if they can breathe. So I'm feeling a little bit stuck between a rock and a hard place at this stage. While his shoes are off, the vet recommended this, some Keratex hoof hardener. I imagine quite a few of you might have come across this, because apparently it is the thing of this winter with all the soft, wet ground. So I'm putting that on once a day at the moment while his shoes are off. And then I will have a chat with the farrier tomorrow to make a decision as to what we do moving forwards, whether I'm going to be better off without pads so I can put the hoof hardener on, or with pads so I reduce the risk of a bruise. I don't really know, but either which way, he definitely seems to get worse when it's been bad rain outside. So as much as I love my horses to be out as much as possible, he's going to have limited turnout until his foot's hardened up a little bit more. So he can go out on dry days once his shoes are back on, but on wet days I think I'll turn him out for a short amount of time and then he can come back in. And we just need to get that foot hardened now so that he's comfortable. But that's probably the update. I do actually have him entered for Lincoln Horse Trials, and it feels like hard to imagine whether we're even going to get there at this stage. Like I say, he's fit, but I haven't done anywhere near as much schooling as I want to have done, and I've got a lot of practice and prep that I want to do, but obviously he comes first above everything else. I'm not going to be working him if he's not comfortable. Equally, I also know that we've got quite a short window from now till badminton. I've never really appreciated it before, but we're only about 10 weeks away from badminton, which just seems ridiculous. And last year he found the start of the event season really exciting, having done next to no events in comparison to what he did last season. So I've got a feeling he's probably going to come out quite fresh. So I would like to get him into the middle of a field with some tannoys going sooner rather than later, so he can chill out about the situation. But who knows what's going to happen. I did ask the vet on Friday. I told her that I had him entered and said, what do you think? Do you think I'm being absolute lunatic and I should withdraw him? And she said, oh no, I think it sounds reasonable providing they run. So I'm apparently not being a lunatic. I'll make an assessment closer to the date, and as it is at this stage, it might not even run anyway with the amount of wet weather we've just been having. But yeah, I'm trying to stay upbeat about the situation, but it's hard to see where we're going until I've got him right and happy. And it's a waiting game. I don't know how long it's going to take for his feet to harden up. Some people say a week, a couple of days. Other people say longer. Obviously there's been where the abscess is, and there's sort of a little crater because then there's been the dead sole that's come from underneath. And I don't want to rush him and do it, that it's not fair. I just want him to get better. So hopefully it's our road to badminton, but at the moment I don't have any exciting training to show you. Obviously I'd intended on doing so much prep this winter, but it's not happened. And c'est la vie, that is life. So there's no point getting too stressed about it. I just thought I'd fill you in, because obviously you've seen nothing of him for ages, and I will keep you updated on our progress as we get going. First things first is to get his shoes back on, make a decision whether it's going to be with pads, without pads, or maybe with some pads where I can get to the sole of his foot. I don't know. And then we'll go from there and hopefully make some progress. But anyway, hopefully the next instalment of our Road to Badminton series is loads more exciting than me sat chatting to you with no shoes on my donut. So make sure that you press that subscribe button so that you can keep up to date. I am hoping to have plenty of training going on eventually, and in the meantime, have a great day, and I will catch up with you soon. Bye.